Hi, I'm going to apologise in advance because banging noises might happen. We're having construction done on the house again, and I'm in the spare room on the bed with Stinky. I guess I could move, but I'm in the spare room on the bed with Stinky. Why would I move? I mean, look how freaking cute this little gorgeous one is. Alright. Don't know who this question's from. Hey Tabitha, my situation is very similar to what you experienced with the extreme exercise compulsions. I recently decided after listening to one of your podcasts that I was sick of my eating disorder ruining my life, and I never really recovered in the past, but only ever stayed in crazy recovery. I went cold turkey with exercise almost 2 weeks ago. It was so extremely hard, the hardest thing I've ever had to do, to give it up, but it's becoming a little easier now. The only thing is that I feel like I'm really empty without exercise. That it was my life before, my whole identity, and now I feel like I have no idea what to do because I don't really have any hobbies or interests besides school. I also feel like I'm beginning to genuinely miss exercising and wondering when I'll be able to reintroduce it. I really do love movement and have always been an active kid, so not doing much of anything now just feels unnatural and against my intuition. I'm not sure what to do. I've gained a little weight and need to get my period back. My doctor wants me to take the pill. But I also just really want to move my body. I'm not sure if it'll spiral out of control again if I reintroduce some nice and gentle workouts. Any suggestions? My eating's better too. I still have quite a bit of mental hunger. Not always respond to, but I'm eating a lot more and as freely as well, which is nice. I'm just not really sure what my next step is, and I'm feeling a bit lost in my life at the moment. Well done for making the decision to give up exercise. So it's getting a bit easier. It's been 2 weeks. 2 weeks is nothing. It's great that it's getting a bit easier, but you are definitely not at the point yet where you can start thinking about, do I reintroduce movement yet? It's going to take a little bit longer, or a lot longer than that, for your brain to unwire the link that it has between movement and food. So that's a neural, call it a neural pathway that develops when those of us that have compulsively exercise for a long time, our brain starts to link movement and food, and many other things around movement develop as well, but that's one of the primary ones. And it's going to take more than 2 weeks to unwire, I'm afraid. So you're going to need to commit to no compulsive movement for a heck of a long time. I gave it a year. I committed for a year. I'm not doing it for a year. And I didn't do it for a year, and a bit longer actually, because by the time that year was up, I was like, why would I go running? So commit, 2 weeks is nothing in the scheme of things. Now, this is neural rewiring stuff, but I'm going to try and explain it in the best way that I can. The way I see it, and I wrote about this, I wrote a book called Neural Rewiring for Eating Disorder Recovery, and in that book I talk about superhighways. Superhighways are imagine massive neural pathways. They're the really strong neural pathways. And I've identified 2 superhighways that I think are the most likely to be problematic and re-emerge if you go back to doing them too soon. And those 2 superhighways are 1, compulsive movement, and 2, orthorexic/healthy eating. So those are the things that people slip into. So maybe you're doing really well in recovery and it's been 6 months, and you're just you've gained a load of weight, you're feeling your body's feeling better, you may be starting to sort of deal with it a bit more mentally, you've made all of these changes, you're going opposite action to all of the compulsive stuff, you're thinking things are going well, and because your weight's up, your doctor might be like, yeah, great, you're fine, go on, you can start exercising, all that stuff. And so you start, and then it's not intentional or anything. You start doing a bit of exercise, and then you don't even notice it really, but you just sort to feel this inclination that, well, maybe I should actually eat a little bit healthier as well. And so all these little things start coming back. All these little maybe thoughts start coming back. That's one that gets people tell me a lot, is that maybe sort of the eating disorder thoughts have got less, and then they start to re-emerge. And that's not a coincidence. It's because you restarted the exercise. You put energy to that neural pathway, the movement one, that wasn't completely done yet. And in doing so, you lifted up the whole neural network, all of the things that are associated with your eating disorder. And so because movement was still associated by your brain by your eating disorder, all of the other thoughts and things that were also associated start to come back up, not intentionally or anything. And so the same with healthy eating. Like, you might be well into recovery and all these things, and then one day, you know, someone's like, oh, maybe you should eat like some salad for lunch, or, you know, whatever, and you're just like, oh, maybe that's a good idea. Or the typical one is like, shouldn't you be having a smoothie? Yeah, that kind of shit. And so then you do that, and you start kind of like, oh, well, maybe I should clean up my diet a bit. Just those little, maybe slightly innocent, maybe not thoughts. That orthorexia stuff is a superhighway. And so as soon as you start meddling there, even a little bit, then what happens is it re-energizes your eating disorder neural network. And what a lot of people find is that, say, they start doing some movement, start doing some exercise, and then their desire to restrict comes back. And that's because your brain associates movement with restrictive behaviors. Or vice versa. You start eating healthy, and then your desire to restrict starts to come back up. It's the same thing that's happening. So, and those two ones, orthorexic eating and compulsive movement, are they're the ones that take the longest to rewire, because they're usually the deepest and the most ingrained. So you've got to think of compulsive movement as like, that's a super high, like, think about the big highways in America, and you want that highway to get disused and grass to grow over it. It's going to take longer than a little side road, isn't it? So you got to spend a little bit longer not using it so that the grass grows over the tarmac. And the bigger the superhighway, the more time the grass is going to take to grow over the tarmac. The good news is it doesn't take forever. But give yourself, I always say with exercise, give it a year, at least a year. And then when you do start to reintroduce movement, and think of it as movement, not exercise. I don't think anybody needs to exercise. Exercise just spells out kind of like, I'm doing this because I feel I have to. You know, movement stuff like walking the dog, riding a horse in my case. Fun stuff, you know, not slogging away on a fucking treadmill. But anyway, if you know, you take a year off exercise, and then you might start to reintroduce some movement, if everything else is going well, if you feel that you're recovered, if you're nutritionally rehabilitated and all of that stuff, then what you got to watch out for is you got to really watch your brain, and you do a little bit of movement, and then you watch your brain, and you watch that week for any disordered thoughts re-emerging. You got to watch for feelings around negative body image getting worse, all of those things that your brain might associate with your eating disorder. So you've got to go really slowly and go watch your brain a lot if you're going to reintroduce movement. But like I said, I wouldn't do that for a good year. Don't be in a hurry. Just don't be in a hurry to do it, because if you rush into reintroducing movement, you're going to fuck your recovery up, right? If you take your time, a good year or more, some people it takes more, off movement, then you stand every chance of actually, when you make the healthy decision, as in, when I say healthy, I mean because it's fun, not because I'm doing this for my health. That's actually what I mean by healthy, fun. I want to do some stuff. Then you can be way more confident that you're doing it for the right reasons, and you can be way more confident that that neural network, and especially that superhighway that connects food and movement, is completely grassed over. And then you'll actually have a much better time, and you'll be confident that you're actually doing things for the right reasons, which is fun. If you're doing movement, it should be fun. So I can't really remember what the question was, but this is exactly the sort of thing that I explain in that book, and I think it's like the really important stuff. And what saddens me about the treatment field is that everybody looks at it just from a nutritional rehabilitation perspective. Is it safe for this person to go back to movement? They don't look at it from a neural rewiring perspective, because they don't understand that neural rewiring is a thing. And so if you just look at it from the nutritional rehabilitation perspective, which is important, I'm not saying it isn't, but it's not the only thing. If you look at it from that perspective only, then somebody could be theoretically, physically good to go back to exercise in a very short time. Their physical body might be showing all the signs and like levels all right and weight apparently in the healthy zone and all of that stuff, their physical body, and the doctor might be like, oh yeah, you're safe to exercise. Being safe to exercise physically is not the same as being safe to exercise from a neural rewiring perspective. And that's really important. So don't hinge it all on the physical side of things. You've got to know that you need to abstain from movement, from compulsive movement, from the neural rewiring perspective. And that takes a while because you've got these really well-trodden, well-used neural pathways in your brain. They're big roads and they're going to take a long time for the grass to grow back over. But the grass will grow back over. And then when that's done, when the grass is really grown over that road and you can't even see it anymore, you can do whatever the fuck you want because you know that you'll be doing it for the right reasons. It's worth waiting. Hope that helps. Bye.